it's Belen back with yet another video for you. Yes, I have no face on. I'm sitting here in a scruffy t-shirt and all that shit. But happy Thursday. It is evening time where I am and we're here. I have decided that I want to do a kind of art clown, drag styly face today. So that is what I'm going to be starting off while we get into the tea, the drama, shit that's been happening on the internet lately. Because, girl, there's quite a few things that I want to talk about. I mean, predominantly Nikita Dragun, of course. If you've seen the title of this video, which you have because you've clicked on it. Yeah, we're going to talk about Nikita Dragun's latest stunts and shenanigans. I'm not impressed. You know, I am not impressed. I think you will know that if you watched my last video on Nikita Dragun. You'll know that I'm not impressed with her recent antics. So, just to recap, if you hadn't heard about what Nikita Dragun had done, Nikita Dragun recently made some posts claiming that she'd been detained in a psych hospital for 8 days, that she was thrown out of her house on Thanksgiving, all of this. She made these posts on her Instagram, and this was just after she'd been posing on her Instagram with kind of semi-nude photos, where she had a huge puffer jacket, designer puffer jacket, and pretty much that, a little dress, and then a bikini. So she was pretty much stripping down to her little bikini, posing in photos, modelling. And then the next thing we heard from Nikita was when she popped up on Instagram saying that she'd been detained for 8 days in a psych hospital. Nikita shared photos of herself that were quite triggering as well. One of them where she looked like to have a gash all the way across her stomach. I put that in my previous video on this, but I'm not going to put it in this one because it is triggering to look at. But she'd made it look like she had a gash across her stomach. Instantly, I thought it looked like red lipstick. It didn't look like an actual wound, if you know what I mean. But the way that Nikita played the situation out was that she'd been detained, that she'd been taken to this psych hospital by police because she'd been walking the streets on her own on Thanksgiving in the cold. Now, the problem that I've got with the way that Nikita has gone about this whole thing is her using mental health once again to troll for attention. You know, of course, Nikita went on her Instagram and said, oh, this isn't for attention, you know, I'm going to talk about this when I'm ready and everything like that. But then the day after these posts about being in a psych ward or psych hospital, you know, being detained involuntarily, so, you know, the day after that, she posted photos, again, semi-nude photos, where you could see all of her body, which I'm going to put in here for you. You could see all of her body. You can clearly see that there are no visible scars on her body. Now, she posted video and photos on her Instagram, and you could very clearly see there was not a scratch on her. So I was like, okay, so you've clickbaited some kind of self-harm, tried to make it look like you've cut yourself open. She's used that, clickbaited it to her followers, her fans, to gain sympathy, to make it look like, you know, she's been a danger to herself. Also, sad fishing, trying to get sympathy by saying that she was kicked out of her house on Thanksgiving, like she'd been kicked out by her parents. And the whole problem that I've got with that, the whole issue that I've got with that is, of course, yes, Nikita is a trans woman and she's been very vocal about being trans online. But the problem that I've got with the way that Nikita has gone about this whole entire situation, saying that she's been kicked out, you know, all this, these are things that really happen to trans people out in the world who are much, much less privileged and less fortunate than somebody like Nikita Dragun. You know, this is something that happens to real queer people, real trans people outside of social media influencers, you know. So when I see a social media influencer like Nikita Dragun, who's got millions of followers, doing this for clickbait, for attention, I'm just like, what the fuck is this, girl? You tried it. You know, you really, really tried it here. And it's not nice, you know. It's just, these are things that people really do struggle with in the world. And to see Nikita use that as clickbait, it makes the whole entire trans community look bad, in my opinion. It makes the trans community look bad. It makes the queer community look bad. Because anytime when we talk about mental health, it's like, it's going to be like, oh, are you lying? Because you've got people like these influencers coming out lying and clickbaiting, using it for attention, weaponizing it, weaponizing real people's struggles in life. So how is anybody else supposed to be believed? It's a bit like that whole situation we have with Trisha Paytas, talking about SA and about how a teacher had apparently SA'd her. You know, again, that's something that makes it difficult for other SA victims to be believed. So when I see influencers and YouTube celebrities doing this kind of stuff, I'm not here for it. You know, I am really, really not. You know, I try to be objective as a drama channel, and I try to be kind of fair. But in this instance with Nikita, I was just angry. I was just like, no, I don't like this energy. I don't want this. I blocked her on Twitter, and I was just like, no, I really can't support this. And it's sad because, you know, I have... Oh! Hi, Jeffrey Lipstick. But it's sad because, you know, I have supported her Dragon Beauty brand. I've spent money on her brand, you know, and for Nikita to turn around and do what she's done with, you know, triggering people over self-harm, and also just using it for clickbait, using serious mental health issues for clickbait, I can't support that. Absolutely not. You know, you can't use that to troll. You know, look at somebody like Trisha Paytas. They get a lot of heat for pretending to be schizophrenic. They get a lot of heat for, you know, the way that they behave, and then, you know, talking about the fact that they're BPD and using BPD as some kind of excuse for their behaviour. So why is Nikita Dragun getting a pass? I mean, you go under Nikita Dragun's post, her recent posts, and a lot of it is like fire emojis and yes queen and this type of thing. But there are people that are calling Nikita out, saying, hey, we're not just going to forget what you've done. Nikita tried to come out with excuses and say that she wasn't in her right mind when she first posted about being in the hospital and all of this stuff. She put out these 3 little text posts on her IG stories saying that she wasn't in her right mind because she'd been drugged at the hospital, all of this. You know, it's all bullshit. You know, I can smell bullshit with Nikita, because the way that she went about it, you know, she would not have been able to have her mobile phone recording herself in a psych hospital like that, you know. And many people actually called Nikita out for that. Many people were calling her out on that, saying, hey, you're not actually allowed to record yourself, you know, if you're in a psych hospital. They take everything away from you. They take your shoelaces, they take your body piercings. But she was sitting there with her belly button ringing and everything, you know. It was just so bad, the way that she tried to manipulate her audience. You know, when what I really think happened was maybe she got arrested for indecent exposure, something like that. But she was definitely not detained in a psychiatric hospital. Definitely not. I mean, she might have been detained overnight by police for indecent exposure, but that is nowhere near the same thing as being kicked out on Thanksgiving Day and then, you know, being detained for 8 days because you're either a danger to yourself or a danger to somebody else in a psych hospital. Like, it's just so insulting to people who actually get treated badly and struggle through the mental health system to do that. You know, I'm somebody who's queer, I'm also BPD, and the fact that Nikita would use this to troll, I just found it disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. I was like, nah, I'm not having it. You know, I just can't let that go with her. I'm like, nah. It's gross, girl. It is gross. You know, she's been caught out in a lie. People are calling it out, but not enough people, you know. Most of the videos that I've seen made about this Nikita Dragun topic, it's people just saying, oh, well, I hope she gets better. I hope she gets well, all of this. But nobody is actually calling out the fuckery of what she's done. And that's what I think is wrong, you know. Nobody is calling out the way that she's clickbaited and manipulated her fan base. Okay, so now we've got the contacts in. I'm going to start working on this part of my face. So I haven't done this part yet. Going to start working up here and then work my way down. That's just how I like to do it when I'm doing like a white coloured face. Because otherwise you get like fingerprints and marks where you're trying to work if you do a whole white face. And then try and put your eyes and everything on. So I'll finish my base once I've done this part. So let's get my little, gonna get my little Meron face palette. Yeah, face paint palette. Can't speak. But yeah, the whole reason why I didn't like Nikita's trolling with that is because there are trans people who are vulnerable. There are queer people who are vulnerable. Especially at this time of year, you know, people who are genuinely at risk of being kicked out by their families and things because they're trans, because they're queer, because they're not accepted for who they are, or their partner's not accepted for who they are. You know, it's something I have had a little bit of experience of as well. Like when I was dating a trans man years ago, you know, I live somewhere where it's a lot of straight people. There's no gay bar, there's no queer venue like locally or anything. So when I came home with a trans man to my straight family, that was controversial. You know, that was something, you know, to be stared at and talked about. You know what I mean? And it's sad, this is the world we live in, but, you know, unfortunately, it is the world we live in. So I came home with a trans man. Sorry, I'm trying to concentrate and do this as well. I came home with a trans man, and that was something that was frowned upon. Oh. And at one point, my brother even said, I'll kick his cunt in. You know, and that was like, that was a shock, you know. But this is the world we live in, and this is what I'm saying. This is why it is so bad that Nikita, as a visible trans person on social media, in the influencer world, in beauty space, whatever, it's so bad that she, as a public trans person, is mocking, you know, being thrown out of your house and having all these mental health struggles. It's awful that she's doing that, because it's taken away from people who actually experience that. Okay, so I've just cut out my sort of wing liner shape with a little bit of black liquid liner. It's actually like a little, what is it, felt tip liner from Misguided brand actually, and this one's actually pretty decent for like a drugstore brand. Then I'm going to start going in with the Sensorium Chapter 1 palette. Now I think I want to use like this kind of bluey greeny colours up here, and then of course this bit is going to be coloured in black. So let's get into this while we continue talking. But, you know, hopefully you can understand my point. You know, my point being that there are plenty of vulnerable trans people out there and queer people out there who, particularly at this time of year when everything's, you know, about going to see families and be with loved ones, you know, who are actually vulnerable and actually are going to be in need of help and won't get it, you know. So that's why I found it particularly insulting for Nikita Dragun to do what she did. You know, you might say, oh well, you know, it's a good thing because Now this can be an opportunity for us to have a conversation and sit down and talk about this, you know. But why does an influencer need to clickbait something for it to become a talking point, for it to become a conversation? You know, it's very sad that it gets to that, you know. It should be something that gets talked about regardless, you know. But of course, because a lot of the kind of commentary channels and stuff are straight guys, it's not something that I see getting talked about by people like commentary channels, you know. They ignore this stuff. But, you know, me, I'm here, I'm queer, and I'm going to talk about it because I think we need to. You know, it makes me sad when I think our community isn't doing what it's supposed to be doing for people, isn't respecting each other, you know. Sorry to sound like a social justice warrior or whatever, but, you know, at the end of the day, it's the truth. Transphobia is rife, even now in 2021. And people just get away with it still. Okay, I think I'm going to wrap this one up for now. I'm going to go do my face off camera and have a nice time playing with makeup. You know, this is quite a heavy topic to talk about really. But, you know, being as it's something that came up with Nikita Dragun, I wanted to talk about it. You know, I really wanted to come and say, you know, I think that what she's done is not okay. You know, and I'm surprised that more people aren't making videos saying that it's not okay as well. But, you know, this is me, this is my channel, so I wanted to come over here and talk about it. So I'm going to go finish this, like, drag clown look. I'm going to make it festive. I've got all these, like, donuts and ice lolly, like, tree decorations and stuff. They're so cool, so glittery and fun. Aren't they cute? Donuts. Anyway, I love you guys. Thank you so much for taking time to watch. I love you. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.